Welcome to Live in Gratitude Daily on Global Voice Radio, a show which inspires, motivates, and transforms through sharing real-life stories of gratitude. Here's your host, Denise Joy. Well, hello, everyone. This is Denise Joy Thompson and another episode of Live in Gratitude Daily. And with me today is one of the co-authors, Josh Drewein, and his message is actually on February 12th. Live in Gratitude Daily, the show, is based off of the book, Live in Gratitude Daily, The Key to Abundance, Joy, and Love. And it's a 365-page journal. And each page has a date. It doesn't matter what year or even what time of year you might start this journal, because you will have 365 days of gratitude, of inspiration, motivation, transformation that the co-authors take you through each day. And I'm so glad that I get to interview one of our co-authors today. So Josh, thank you very much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So Josh, no, you currently live in Idaho.
Yeah, Boise.
In Boise, Idaho. Mm-hmm. And let's talk a little bit about what you do. And let's talk a little bit about your journey. And then we'll talk about your gratitude message and more about Live in Gratitude Daily.
Okay. Yeah, I just like a quick background. I came from a family they owned a business. Like my dad built a restaurant when I was like 3 years old, and I took over the restaurant back in 2005 and really managed it till actually like the earlier part of 2016 when we sold the business. Since then, I ventured into the life coaching business and was able to get certified, did all kinds of research, met people, really dove into a lot of that. I think what it taught me a lot about was that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and like, my dad always told me that having, like taking the opportunity to, or take advantage of the opportunities that come to you, and also that, but be humble about, like, he was always the guy who had taught me that, like, we need to have dishes, or like we used to sell like pizzas and burgers in the fashion of like serving people, like not fancy food, but average everyday food. And that definitely was humbling in a way of helping others, feeding everybody that could come to the town, because we owned a restaurant that was in a resort town, and it was always about these $30 steak and potato dinners. And so from there, I went, after we sold the restaurant, it was a huge shift in my life in many ways, such as, career, relationship. I had a relationship change in the same year. And so it was a definite time of just a new chapter in my life. And like really, I spent a lot of time like just reading and doing a lot of studying. And when I found out about life coaching, I really wanted to find a niche. And where I found it was helping people with relationships, and if they're having like trouble or starting a relationship, or even like careers, because I doing the business, I helped a lot of people like that work with me. They're in college and talking, like they're finding their direction in life, and it was really fascinating for me. And with that, I took those tools and I've been applying them with the business I have now. And a lot of times it would be a lot of people that were like stuck, like in a rut, like in a divorce or in a toxic relationship, or possibly maybe taking the next step with their, all different types of dynamics with the relationship. So it was very, I guess, eye-opening is the word I would say.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like the restaurant was a huge part of your life because you grew up with your father owning and running the restaurant, and then you took over for several years. So what are some of the main lessons that you learned from growing up with your dad being a business owner, and then you continued that?
Oh, it was actually a really, really great experience. I remember bussing tables when I was small enough to carry a bus tub. Granted, it was like back, in the early 80s, and I don't know if like things have changed for, child labor laws or what, but like it was so rewarding to earn my own money since I was, little. And like I bought my first car when I was 16 from my own, working and saving up my money and buying, everything, even like school clothes, shoes, CDs. People can remember those, or tapes and things. And it taught me a lot of like, be thankful for having opportunities, and also like, being thankful for, the possessions that you have. And especially if you work so hard to get them, you have a different appreciation for these items. And also it built a big work ethic in me as well. So I was like, very grateful to have a job. And still to this day, if something were to happen and I needed to get a job at Subway or at a restaurant, it's still have the, still be grateful enough to say, hey, I can at least work in a restaurant and make this much of my money. And that's still that, I still have a lot more than, 90% of the world has. And you have to think beyond yourself. And so that was a huge lesson for me in growing up in a restaurant.
Well, and it seems like it gave you intellectual and emotional lessons, but also, like you said, you have skills that if you have to, you can get a job in any town, in any city, because you know how to provide customer service, you know how to work in a restaurant, you know how to deal with all types of customers.
Right.
It probably also helps you in your life coaching to have that experience, because you and I both know going into a restaurant, waiting for food, wanting the food to be perfect. And so customers on most of the time are happy, but you get those ones who are not happy, are way too picky, and you still have to provide them customer service.
You do, yeah. And like there's a big I found a good merging between those two in the sense of that exact same thing. I mean, like there's people and clients that I have that are, that will go along with your program or go along with your your lessons you want to help them with, or advice that you suggest, or not really suggest, but like help them find their solutions. That's what I think the purpose of life coaching is. But then there are the ones who have these hiccups, or the people that have difficulty, and whatever it is. It could be something as like they don't want to do it. I actually was working with a guy who wants to get this job, but they have a conflict because they knew one of the managers from a prior experience. And I had to let them know that, hey, you know what, this is something that, you're going to meet people and know people that you might have a negative experience with. But again, you have to think about what you want in long term. So it helps in a lot of sense of like communicating with people in a different way, like meeting them in a common area. Like, the restaurant was, maybe they didn't like their food. Maybe it wasn't fast enough. Maybe it wasn't cooked the way they wanted. And you would, meet them in a middle type of, sense. Give them a discount, maybe recook it, whatever they want to help them stay satisfied. And I think that ultimately goes over to life coaching in the sense of, like, maybe this plan that we have isn't working out. Let's look at other alternative solutions to help you get to where you want to go. So yeah, it does play roles in both ways.
And one of the things that you just said plays so well into the concept of gratitude. And you made the comment about meeting in the middle, but also looking at things from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about having a lifestyle of gratitude is that we are able to look at situations from what do we have. You had mentioned earlier, you learned so much from working at a young age, working through school, buying your first car. You had earned that money yourself. You learned a work ethic. You learned time management. You learned how to be self-sufficient so that as you're an adult, you can look back on that. And you said that you were grateful, you were thankful for what that experience gave you. Now, I would imagine at times, working in the restaurant from when you were small, that there were times that you probably didn't want to do it. And you even might have told your dad, yeah. Don't want to do this today, Dad, or whatever. And that's part of life.
Right.
It seems like there was so much that you got out of it.
There was. And that's exactly what it was. I remember just wanting to play with the kids, or go to camps, or or have sleepovers, and all the things we did when we were little. And it was like, no, there was some leniency in that. He let me have a kid life, but there was a lot of times where I had to, like, no, we need, I need you here in the restaurant, and of course I'd be mad and do my work and just be throw the sponge or whatever when we did when we were like 13 and stuff. But yeah, in the end it was like, okay, there's always time for play. There's always time for all this stuff you want to do, but there are times when you need to put in your licks. So there's times when you need to just put in the work. And that's with everything. I mean, not just working in like your career. I think working on yourself, reading, everything, just education and everything. And it helps a lot for you to appreciate that, making the sacrifice, and you can get a deeper appreciation for everything. Like if you invest more in your relationship, you're going to have a deeper appreciation for it, as well as your career, job. I think everything. It's like health too. So
right, looking at the positive of a situation, looking at, if I do this work, what is the likely outcome? How is this going to benefit me? Like you mentioned, benefit my relationship, benefit me physically, emotionally. You mentioned education. How is it going to benefit me intellectually?
Right.
And sometimes if we spend too much time seeing the negative side of situation, then it just makes it so much more difficult to do something.
It does. It's my philosophy is it's the I'm drawing a blank here. It's you're like what you focus on is what you feel, or focus equals feelings. Also, focus equals power, and it's all about perception. How you in any situation. I believe that there's a manifestation out there with like you can look at things this way, you can look at things another way. And you do gravitate towards how you view everything in life. And so I see things as it's funny because like in college, my friend, I was in one of these ruts where I just felt so bad about like I wasn't getting good grades. I was kind of like I was fighting with some of my best friends. I didn't talk to my family very much, and like a friend of mine, Eric, who is just like one of these friends, that you kind of like that comes and goes. He's like, you know what? I believe that there's no matter what happens in life, the sun always sets and the sun always rises. So I like took that in a perspective of like, hey, life happens, but time still moves on, and it helped me a lot with like saying that nothing is permanent, and just sort of keep moving on and try to do the best you can, and eventually it just works itself out in its weird way, and it's never predictable and it's never how you want it to be, but it just works out eventually for the better, I think. So
right. And one of the things that we know as human beings, and you just sort of mentioned it, things work out when we allow them to work out the way that it's going to progress, which we don't always know what that is. And sometimes if we try to create it too much or steer our life in a certain direction with only that one focus, we miss all of the opportunities that can come into our life. One of the things when I was creating the idea and concept of Live in Gratitude Daily, I had researched the concept of gratitude and found out from the research that's out there that gratitude is actually the foundation, the emotion, the feeling, the behaviors, the mindset for everything to come into our life. It is the foundation of abundance, joy, and love, right, and all of those aspects of those three things. But we have to be grateful first.
Right.
We have to allow. If we're not in a mindset to receive the opportunities, then we can't take advantage of them. We can't say yes to them because we shut the door by being negative or too focused on just one thing.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. It boiled down. I think you hit the nail on the head on that with that gratitude is the foundation for everything. I think it was all even into integrity. I was just doing a workshop at the end of this month, and it's to be mostly on relationships, relationship building. And it goes back to yourself. They always say, you gotta love yourself before you can love someone else. And I think that's a good skeleton philosophy. But it comes down to having the gratitude of enjoying the company of yourself, and then it turns around and you enjoy the company of other people, and also sincerely, enjoying it. I think everyone that you meet has something to offer, whether it's good or bad, and so everybody that I meet, I feel grateful for the fact that I'm able to talk to them, and just pick their brain or what's going on with their life or what they're doing, and it's just so rewarding to see them progress or see their, especially when they get excited about something, they have this vision. I have this great friend that I was talking to. He's working on like a homeless shelter idea, like helping people, like it's gonna be called the Stepping Stone, where they help people like get jobs and then get on their feet, and just the excitement of that makes me excited. And and that I'm just like, I'm grateful to know what this person wants to do. And then that helps, I think, build abundance with relationships in a sense of a rapport in a way, but more or less like, you know what, if I'm excited to talk to people, then they're probably excited to talk to me, and, you know, vice versa. So it's a great deal, or a good deal.
Right. Well, and another great point that you just made was loving or being grateful for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because in some ways, when we are not grateful for ourselves, we can try to be grateful for other people, but the lack of gratitude and acceptance for who we are today in this moment gets in the way. And oftentimes, when we look at those negative emotions or thoughts that people might have, when someone has a thought of lack or competition or jealousy or not being good enough, they try to compare themselves to others. And in some ways, they have already compared themselves to themselves and are not accepting who and what they are. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't work on ourselves, right? We all think about losing that 10 pounds. And it's okay to want to lose the 10 pounds, but be okay with who you are today and be grateful, which in turn turns into self-love, which allows us to truly love someone else. But when we're hating ourselves or disliking ourselves, we can't truly love another person.
No, it turns, that's when the like the toxic relationships happen, is that when you don't have gratitude or like love for yourself, and you build a relationship, and it's not that authenticity of you know, how you feel about yourself and them. That's when like it turns into you start to despise their behaviors if they're too positive, or like, you know, almost envious in a way, where you feel like, okay, they are truly happy, and I'm presenting myself as happy, but excuse me, but I'm not, and that does show, and then they feel that as well, and then all of a sudden you're noticing that you aren't getting, you know, you're missing phone call, or like, you know, they aren't texting you back, or they aren't calling you back, and because, you know, I think everyone has that feeling of, you know, they don't want people that are going to drag them down, unless if they're themselves. So, and then, yeah, it's a huge, it can turn into a big spiral if you aren't, you know, truly grateful. So.
Right. Well, Josh, you provided a message of gratitude in Live in Gratitude Daily for February 12th.
Yeah.
And you talked about how gratitude has the potential to create a better day. And the other, which is true, right? When we wake up in the morning, our mindset about ourselves waking up, the fact that we have to wake up, right? And how we feel about ourselves as soon as we get out of bed, as soon as we start our day, creates the reality of our day. And so when we wake up being thankful that we woke up, being thankful for our body, our mind, our spirit, being thankful for everything that will go on that day, we start out with a grateful day. But you also, and this I think is key to what you shared with us, you talked about trade expectations for appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, I can give my spin on it, but you're the creator. You shared it in our book. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay. That actually was the key thought that I had that got me into life coaching in the beginning. Actually, like that when I heard that, and I heard like in a similar phrase, but it's a different wording. Anyways, it helped me to realize that expectations has been known to like lead to disappointment. Like it's a sense of like, this is how I things should be, how things should play out, or how things should be. And when it doesn't get there, then you're disappointed and you're let down and you're frustrated. So it's huge in the sense of like gratitude in the way of, it just, like, you know, the appreciation part where, you know, like you're hanging out with your friends, and like instead of expecting them to behave a certain way, or like, you know, you're with a partner and you expect them to do the dishes, or you expect them to take out the trash, you expect them to, you know, do something on Valentine's Day, you know. What if like you appreciate the fact that they are there for you, you know, 365 days a year, or you're able to, or you have friends that can be there to call you, or you can call them if something happens, or you have an idea, you know, or you need a ride or a jump on your car, you know, all these things that we take for granted and we forget about, you know, in the background. And I think that what that generally means is that, wake up every day and like have the appreciation of like everything around you. Appreciate the fact that we are talking on this, you know, computer, and we have phones and all that, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
It's just amazing. And like, since I wrote that you know, speech, or the February 12th segment, I've actually like grown a little bit. I've had a few other introductions to gratitude in a way of like writing down my journal. I write down every morning, and also every night I'll try to reflect on how my day went and what I appreciate about it. And then also I'll just, you know, just have almost like a sense of meditation in a way, if my kids will allow it. You know, I appreciate them. I'll like sit there, and it's like, you know, you have kids, and you do that, and you'll look at them sometimes, and especially when they're sleeping, it's like, my word, like, you know, this is a person that is a part of me, and they are, you know, I'm responsible for them, and like the feeling's overwhelming sometimes, and just like the appreciation of that is just so, it's remarkable. It's almost not, I don't know, you can't describe it at times, you know, and just that feeling alone just helps me understand that, like, you know, life is bigger than yourself, and there is a lot of happiness out there if you choose to allow it in.
Right. You know, one of the things that you had just mentioned was talking about relationships. And some of the research that has been done on gratitude, including thankfulness and appreciation, is love was increased in relationships when either one, now it's best if both people can be appreciative of the other, but at times one person is ready and the other person is not. And when they practiced gratitude, when they voiced appreciation for the things the person was doing, not being negative about what wasn't being done, like you said, if the trash or the dishes or the laundry, but it was identifying and being appreciative, giving positive feedback, verbalizing the positive gratitude, appreciation, affirmations, the relationship got better. And then the other person was able to join and then be at the same place. And as you said, even with friends, with our children, our spouses, our coworkers, right? Because oftentimes we might be in a work environment and there's coworkers who may be annoying to us, right? That's our perception. Our expectation was not being met, which probably created an expectation that may not have been realistic. But when we start appreciating what they do, it changes the dynamic of that work environment. And then everybody can be more grateful and everybody can let go of some of the negativity.
That's absolutely right. That's amazing how everything changes at that point, as far as like your relationships with people and also your job performance at that, when you get to that point. A exercise that I was working on, I think helps a lot with that, like especially with couples, is there's a like a questionnaire you kind of ask yourself about. It kind of goes back to like the appreciation for yourself as well as others, and like you kind of like ask yourself this, like, what would you do for your partner to make them happy? You can like write out a list, take them out to dinner, give them a pedicure, manicure, spa day, and then you turn around and you ask yourself, now, would you do the same thing for yourself? And that would, and then it kind of like helps you, like, am I treating myself as well as I'm treating my spouse, or is it equal, or is there a difference? And that's a good way to kind of balance everything out. So, and I think you do that with coworkers as well. I brought them coffee the other day. How often do I buy myself a treat? There's things like that. And it really helps with like a balance, and because treating yourself, it makes you feel better, and you feel like you have and it does bring out more of a gratitude with yourself, and appreciate what you do within yourself. So, and then that again manifests in other people. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really like your suggestion of asking couples that question and then asking ourselves. And it can be, even if you're not married, it can be asked about friendships and can be asked about coworkers. But I think that's a great idea to have somebody write that down, and you can compare those columns, because if it's sort of, overloaded on either side, it's still information that person needs to think about, and what can they choose to do to change.
Right.
So, Josh, you mentioned that one of the things you have found since being in Live in Gratitude Daily and sharing your gratitude message almost a year ago, you found yourself journaling about gratitude, and you would journal in the morning and then again in the evening. So what else do you see is different with your perspective in regards to gratitude or your mindset?
I would say that my perception and mindset is that be in the now, be with, just be in the moment, at as much as you possibly can, because that's really all you have control over, is that, and just the fact, just maybe what I do is I remind myself every time, like if I'm driving and I'm, if I'm at a stop sign, for example, I'm a people watcher, and I'll look, like when you're in the stop, at the stoplight, and you see people like turn right and they're like coming up on you. I try to look in the window and see what they look like. It might be creepy, but that's I look at them and I'm like, you know what? This person has a totally different life than I do. They have a totally different world going on, and I appreciate the fact that I can like see them and like maybe they're experiencing things that I'm not, and maybe it's worse, maybe it's better, I don't know. And I'm just like, and what that does for me is it puts in perspective that like it's a huge world out there. And there's so many different realities and so many different things going on. And the fact that I'm here right now in this meat suit, and I'm, especially born where I am, and I have what I have, I'm so thankful for, where I am. And I have a car, and you see people like holding up signs, asking, needing help and whatever. And it's like, you know what, no matter what, there's someone that probably has it a little worse than you do, or maybe even a little bit better, but just be happy with where you are right now, and things will definitely get better. So.
Right. And I think that that's a great message to close on, is the fact when we are present with who we are, where we are, what we have today, acknowledge that, be grateful. And that is really what allows, God's spirit universe to send us more. But we're open to receive when we're grateful for what we have today. But Josh, I also want to give you an opportunity. You mentioned that you're a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so share your business name, how individuals can contact you. So if they have questions for you specifically that they want to ask or to connect with you, share how they can do that.
Okay. There's two main ways that I can be contacted, like my main sources of communication. One is my website is Aspire Coaching, like ASPIRE coaching.com. And that is, I'm with a business partner. We both work together, totally different clientele that we have, but we like help each other out, like cross references. The other thing I do is my Facebook page is called Life Coach Josh Drewein. It's my last name spelled Drewin, and that's where I will put I will do Facebook Lives or put messages out there of maybe little tips and tricks and journaling and things like that, and just kind of like hopefully like give a little bit of value to people in their daily lives and help them out. And if you have a question, you can IM me through that, and I'm always open to talk to people, chat with them, and I'm just really receptive to helping people. So.
Well, good. So I hope that all of you listening today, if you would like to reach out and connect with Josh, aspirecoaching.com, and also Life Coach Josh Drewein on Facebook. And also, I want to invite any of our listeners who do not yet have a copy of Live in Gratitude Daily, The Key to Abundance, Joy, and Love. You can order one from Amazon.com. I know Josh, the other co-authors, and myself would love for everyone to have a copy of this book to increase their gratitude daily, to create a lifestyle of gratitude. And you also can join us in our Live in Gratitude Daily Facebook group. And it's on Facebook. So just put in Live in Gratitude Daily group and you will find us. And every day we provide a message. We do Facebook Lives, provide a message, and encourage people to live in gratitude. And Josh, I want to thank you for joining me today on my show. We do air on Global Voice Radio, and our show is titled Live in Gratitude Daily. So thank you very much for joining me. And I know I'll see you on Facebook. I'll know we will continue to connect. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It was a great experience. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Live in Gratitude Daily with Denise Joy. Join us every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio.